Ask him if he's comfortable sharing more about his mental health issues that caused him to retire. Men's mental health is downplayed and covered up so often. Hearing more about his experience, the cause, dealing with it, and overcoming it would be very helpful, especially from someone who had already achieved and accomplished so much. Professional football player, wealthy, married. Um, just, I know we talked a little bit about it throughout the podcast, but I know there's also a ton of people out there that do struggle with mental health. And to this question, it is often covered up, especially on, with men, and especially in the NFL, doesn't get talked about nearly enough. Now I feel like it's finally starting to bubble up. But like, what would be your advice to someone dealing with it? And, to this question, asking just kind of the cause and how you overcame some of those challenges.
My advice would be to not try to go through it alone. Everyone's got someone who cares about them. So, they care about you enough. They'll be there to assist you and help you and not judge you. That trend that's going around is like, we listen, we don't judge. You know what I mean? Like, that's real. That needs to be real. But the cause of it, I don't know, honestly. It could have been going from, like I said, the highs of Seattle to the lows of Houston, where the head coach seemed like a puppet, and he couldn't even remember my last name as he named me captain for the week. I'm like, how do you mispronounce my name? But he would spell it Brent. And so I'm like, how does this happen? And he did it both times. And then, you, I don't know, it was just tough to lose every week and then show up to work and then be expected to be the same person. And whenever things were kind of not changing, and it was always the same thing. And this is just like what I've kind of gathered through therapy, right? Like, I don't know what the cause is. Um, like I had fun most days there, and my friends that I made were really cool, and ultimately, the handful of friends that I walked away with were there for me whenever I needed them, and even whenever I literally couldn't be there for them. And so, um, I don't know. Like, I knew something was wrong, like in the middle of the week one game. It was like I was looking, I was like out of body experience, kind of watching myself like I'm playing Madden, and I wasn't in control of some of the buttons that were being pressed. And so things were unfolding in the game, things that I've never done before, and it was just kind of like happening. And then I remember my coach yelling at me, which isn't a big deal. That's not an issue. But like emotionally, how small that made me feel in the like middle of the NFL game on the sideline. I was like this isn't good. And so I'm notorious for being one of the last ones out of the locker room in my time in Seattle and in Houston. But my last football game, I didn't even shower. I just changed my clothes and grabbed my wife and went in the car, and I cried for like half an hour. And so, and I didn't know why I was crying. We tied. I didn't feel bad that we tied. Who cares? But yeah, we played Sunday. We had Monday off. I went to work Tuesday, um, and I have notes from film that we watched. And I remember that I can see the coach yelling at me, but everything else I don't remember the day at all. And so that night, I, you know, talked to the PA and then ultimately called the team. And I was like, I'm not mentally fit to come to work. And I just never went back because one, I wasn't ready for a long time. But then two, it just kind of, where I was like kind of finding myself outside of it. And I think there was some fear of falling back down the hole if I went back to it because I was just going to walk right back in the same door. And so that's just kind of how realistically say how it unfolded. You know, I don't know if like the Texans is the fault. You know what I mean? Like, there's plenty of people who work there, have worked there, are working there, and they're doing great. So it's just, you know what I mean? Like my mind broke, and they say the NFL is not for long. So it was kind of like after I kind of clawed my way out of the hole, I was like, well, my time's over. I mean, I'm at peace with it. Let's try to transition smoothly, and that was the most important thing, was transitioning.
Appreciate the honesty, man, and the transparency. And one of the reasons why I started this podcast is to try and get a little more insights into the reality of athletes, right? Whether it be NFL, NBA, NHL, it doesn't matter. With the NFL specifically, and again, like, I've been at fault for this. As a fan, I see Justin Britt miss a tackle, and I go on Twitter and I say, this guy sucks. And little do I know that Justin is, struggling with mental health, or maybe a big catastrophic life event happened right before the game. Like, I've had other athletes who have come on and said, Cesar Ruiz, who plays for the Saints now, he's like, I had to play a game right after my grandmother passed away, like before the game, or it was the night before the game. He was like, yeah, like, I wasn't mentally right, and you could see it on the field. Like, it wasn't my best performance. So, like, I think as fans, like, we often forget that, like, these are real human beings, and these are just like everybody else. They have emotions. They go through their ups and downs. They have bad days. And I encourage, like, everyone who's listening to this, imagine if whatever job you're working at, if you had random people on the internet, critiquing your performance every single day or every single Sunday, how mentally taxing that would be. If every single day someone was like, Nick, wow, like, you could have written this email better, right? Like, I'm kind of making, it's obviously not, it's comparing apples and bananas here, but when you feel that pressure, and again, like, I'm never going to feel that, right? Like, I'm never going to experience what you did. But I think it's very valuable to hear that perspective and just serve as a reminder to everyone watching, like, I get it. We want our teams to win. Like, we want to brag that the Seahawks won the Super Bowl, but it's not worth DMing your favorite player or something after a bad performance, because again, they have bad days just like everyone else.